Do you feel that despite all the books you've read, all the videos you've watched, and all the podcasts you've listened to, you still feel like you know nothing? My confession is that was exactly what I felt for a long time. Like a hamster on a wheel, I just couldn't get out. It was detrimental to my mental being. But I found a solution to that. That is, by consuming less, you actually get more. And let me explain. In this digital world of information, we're able to literally search up any topics that our heart desire. These days, learning is even easier with AI's assistant. But this easy access to books does not mean that we're smarter than ever. Everything is within the tip of our fingers, and new information gives you dopamine hits. So the easier you have access, the longer you're trapped in that dopamine cycle of wanting new information. Yes, even learning is addictive. So this is how my story goes. Growing up, I've always loved comic books. Books with pictures, and I would steer clear of any books with text so small and had no pictures. When I read books, textbooks, I would struggle to read a line without backtracking and forgetting everything I've read up to that point. Needless to say, I really hate the experience of reading books. However, after an awakening, I started to realize that books are downloads of thousands and thousands of geniuses' brains who came before us. They are golden nuggets of information. In 2021, I became a serial reader. My goal was to read 12 books a year, and I easily achieved that. I feel the satisfaction of the wealth of knowledge I've just achieved. I was proud of myself for collecting golden nuggets, filling it into my empty pot. Yet, when someone asks me what the book is about, or what I've learned, I feel like I've just dumped all those golden nuggets away in the trash, despite taking copious notes about it. And that really confuses me. I was learning so much, but before I knew it, my mind was occupied with other people's ideas and thoughts. My notes quickly became a pile of other people's stuff. I was becoming a hoarder. Among those clutter, I could hardly hear my own voice. It's no wonder I've lost my ability to speak or to express my thoughts. So I did what I was good at, going into rabbit holes, and I realized very quickly that I am not alone. We are in the age of information overload. Our obsession with consumption doesn't stop at material or food. We have become the Frankenstein of information. According to Tiago Forte, we consume the equivalent of 174 full newspapers worth of content each and every day, 5 times higher than in 1986. Somehow, that statistics hit me harder than anything. Like a plague, we're all wanting to have more and more content. YouTube, books, Netflix, like a drug, so addictive. We are drowning in our own pleasure. But why is having your own thoughts so important? Isn't it okay just to use other people's thoughts? Why is there even a need to have our own thoughts, and aren't we supposed to stand on the shoulders of giants? Let's play with this metaphor. Imagine that your mind is a garden, and the internet or the contents you're consuming is the botanic garden that contains many more variety of flora and fauna. Imagine walking down this botanic garden and just wanting to collect every plant you encounter along the way. Take it home. So you end up with a rose, a cactus, and a monstera. After planting them in the same spot, you were devastated to find that the rose thrived, while the cactus has died. Monstera was just doing okay. And the weeds have overgrown your garden, making it impossible to know where all your other plants were. Without careful care and consideration for the individual needs of each plant, the garden is overgrown by weeds and its component unhealthy. Would you want such a garden in your home? According to Sonke Arons in his book How to Take Smart Notes, information is not like a memory stick. It seeks our attention and takes up mental resources until it is forgotten or replaced. The irony here is that the more you consume, so the more books you read, the more YouTube videos you watch, the more courses you take, and especially without taking notes and applying these knowledge, the more you forget. So isn't the simple solution just to note these knowledge down? That's the first part of my downfall. Overtaking notes up to the point of hoarding. I had even went to the length of highlighting, summarizing books and taking notes outlines. Yet, I often find myself not looking through these and feeling overwhelmed by how many notes I've got. The dangers of consuming too much is you often encounter the same ideas. Just like how you've heard a lot of YouTubers and influencers talk about atomic habits. Whilst that makes you feel like you know the topic, this creates an illusion of progress. Familiarity is different from recall. According to Mark McDaniel, co-author of Make It Stick, on your first reading of something, you extract a lot of understanding, but when you do the second reading, you read with a sense of, I know this, and it's insidious because this gives you the illusion that you know the material very well, but in fact, there are gaps. Just like a bad habit, we can get stuck into the habit of passive and shallow learning. We are used to being fed information. When first learning about this thought terrifies me. So the choice here is to lose my thinking brain or change and learn how to think again. That is my motivation. So what is at stake for you if you stop to think? I've spent hours finding the solution, from reading books to doing workshops, learning anything and everything about personal knowledge management. The one that had the most impact for me was the Linking Your Thinking community. My mindset and habits were changed when I found a like-minded community who share my love of learning. Here are the few learnings along the way. So the solution to passive and shallow learning is to actively engage with the content you're consuming. It means having a playground to examine this new idea you have encountered. Be selective and think how this idea will be beneficial to you. How it will be not beneficial. How does it solve your problem? How does it relate or contradicts other things you have read or consumed? So going back to our garden metaphor, instead of taking every plant you see along the way, you think about how it will look next to that monstera you already have, or how it will have enough sunlight in your garden. You will end up with less plants, but trust me, a much more beautiful garden that you will want to show to every guest. There are 3 different ways to approach content consumption, and they stack up based on how much you want to engage in the content. The first layer of it all is to reduce content consumption. And before consuming, consider its purpose. Is this for pure entertainment, or would there be something you will learn from it? After you have decided that, then proceed to the next stage. So level 1, this is a basic technique I learned from Jim Quick reading program, which helped to improve comprehension. At this level, you don't need to take any notes, but practice engaging with the material. If there's a learning component, you want to read with intention. Prepare 3 to 5 questions in mind about the topic. But if you have no idea what questions to ask, then here are a few questions to start off with. How this idea will be beneficial to you? How does it solve your problem? How does this answer your burning questions? Now, having these questions in mind will guide your mind to scan for the answers amongst the information, helping to retain new information. The purpose of this level is to start taking some notes to retain some of the information. Use your curiosity as the filter when you're taking notes, and Use the same questions that were asked in this first level. You can also take this one step further and consider, what does this information mean to you? This would answer the questions in your mind while you're consuming the content and help you keep engaged with the reading or content that you're engaging with. Level 3 is the advanced level, and this is when you finally apply the knowledge. You probably have heard that you don't truly learn until you have taught it to someone else. Before you consume something, think about a friend, a colleague, or someone who you want to teach this to. But if the thought of teaching is too daunting at this stage, you can teach your future self by writing a note to yourself recapping what you've learned, or make a mind map about it. Maybe one day you'll work up the courage to do the teaching. By keeping your intention as teaching, it helps you to think about the material in a more multifaceted way. This, for me personally, has been the most powerful step, as having the output in mind has really pushed me to keep learning and stop being paralyzed at the analysis phase, going into rabbit holes that I always do. Instead, I can now focus on expressing the knowledge I've learned, allowing me to see the strengths or flaw of this knowledge. The process of reducing your consumption will not be easy. I had many resistance from it. It was always easier to keep consuming rather than be engaged with it. But trust me, the benefits are worth it. Think about all the wisdom you'll earn from applied knowledge and the room for your original thoughts and what you'll learn from it all. Take it one step at a time. The next time you want to consume, start by thinking about its purpose. Then the next time, have a few questions in mind. And before you know it, you'll be able to consume less, create more, and have more of your wonderful thoughts. So good luck, my friends, and stay curious.